Hey, hi, how's it going? It's me, the Studio Man. The Studio Man. And something quite alarming has recently come to my attention. I'm aging. Rapidly. What I actually realised is that I've been drawing for the past 4 years, which is probably even more horrifying. And yes, that does mean that I started drawing back in. To be fair though, this actually was a pretty good time to get into drawing, given that we had basically nothing better to do apart from, I know, binge fucking FNAF theories. Though it was also around this time that I started watching My Hero, which yes is an affliction and no there isn't a cure, but what it does mean is I've drawn a lot of Dekus over the years. Unfortunately. And because I drew most of these on Procreate, that means I basically still got all the time lapses for them as well. So what I thought could be interesting is if I went back, watch through all these old time lapses and try and see where I went right, and mainly see where I went horribly wrong. Righto, let's see what we got here first. I mean, sure, it can't be that bad.
Oh my goodness!
Alright, so in my defense, when I say day zero, I mean this is quite literally the first drawing I did after deciding to take art seriously. So I feel like it gets a pass, at the very least. What you'll notice straight away as well is I actually am trying to do some sort of construction with the grid. As far as I remember, that was because I was following a tutorial for this. If I find it, I'll put it up on screen. The quality of this drawing definitely is not a reflection of that tutorial, though in hindsight I don't actually personally feel those tutorials are like that helpful for beginners, because it only really teaches you how to draw like one specific face shape from one very specific angle, that being dead on. That's probably just copying on my part for what's on screen currently, but yeah, I mean, in terms of the drawing itself, I don't think there's really that much to say. It's kind of wonky on all fronts. And that's kind of what's hard about being a beginner, is that, at least I find, like, art is kind of split into two aspects. It's both technical and also there's like the physical hand-eye part of it. And when you're a beginner, you most likely have neither of those. So, like you'll see in the face, it's not even just like the face shape, like the construction is off, but even just like the eyes, which are obviously just meant to be circles. I couldn't even do circles. So yeah, I mean, like, it's tricky to like start from nothing, but yeah. Yeah, in terms of the second drawing, it's definitely a noticeable upgrade. There's some interesting things to point out. And first off, like, obviously you can see it's just like a screenshot redraw. It's just a screenshot I had like from the show somewhere in the depths of my camera roll. Though you can see that I've like scaled the screenshot up and I'm basically drawing it like a 1:1 scale, which I'm not sure if that's something like common in beginners. I haven't really seen like many people do that. Obviously screenshot redraws are pretty common, but in terms of like trying to basically replicate it line for line, I would be curious to know if like that's something that other people have done. It's definitely not something I'd post as my own work, but I think as a study, like, it's definitely interesting to see how like other artists use line weight, or even like as a beginner trying to learn proportions, like when you're literally copying the proportions 1:1 from a same scale like photo. I think it's probably a useful enough tool for beginners. Again, it's not something that I claim as my own work because it is literally just a screenshot that I took from the show at some point. But yeah, like, going back to what I said earlier about the like two different aspects of drawing, it's definitely within the first year, like the mechanical aspect is what most improved. Like, you can see there's not really any construction going on, and that's definitely, as you'll see, that's going to come back to bite me later, because I never really spent that much time practicing that when I was just starting out. But in terms of like the lines themselves, like the line weight and actually being able to draw straight lines, or as you can see in the eyes, I actually did circles. So, you know, I'm very proud of that I managed to draw not one but two circles. But yeah, apart from that, even though the physical aspect definitely got a lot better, like the drawing style was obviously very derivative. There's not really that much of my own style that I like developed at that point. It's very much just the show but more scuffed. But I still think that's like an interesting kind of a time capsule as to where I was at that point, like where I didn't really have that much confidence in like my own style, or how to like where I didn't have the confidence to make my own drawings from scratch. But we'll get there, I promise. Overall, like, I'd say it's alright, but that's obviously more for credit to the original rather than like my own stylistic input. The third one I actually find quite interesting, and not because it's good, but because I think it's like an interesting stepping stone as to like where I'm at the moment. The third year is definitely a lot of learning how to do construction and to try and break away from like more or less the training wheels I was on, like just taking from screenshots or trying to like replicate their styles. At this point I was trying to like break away from that and to be able to draw my own stuff, which you can see here. I am struggling to do. Like, you can instantly tell the proportions are way different from what I was doing earlier. They're a lot more realistic, makes it sound like it's good on a technical level. But yeah, I mean, it's like based off real life reference, so it's definitely more on the realistic side compared to like the chippier stuff I was doing earlier. I don't really think that worked here. I mean, it's definitely kind of awkward looking with the like scrawnier and kind of lankier proportions on it compared to what it was before. Like, you'll see me trying to increase the size of the head and try to bring it more in line with the like original style of the show, and failing to do so. But as I mentioned before, like, that's where not practicing construction beforehand or like really trying to break away before kind of came back to bite me, because it meant I spent way too long on training wheels. And obviously, you know, when you take training wheels off, you have to fall off the bike, you know, a couple dozen times before you can actually learn to ride properly. And if I were to describe this piece in a few words, that basically it. It's falling off the bike. Yeah, you can definitely see the growing pains with it, but like, it's not the worst thing I've drawn. Probably. Moving on to the last drawing, there is definitely a lot of pressure here, given that this was literally meant to show like exactly how my process has improved over the last 4 years. And also before this, I took like probably a month and a half break from drawing like human characters, so there is definitely some pressure there with that one. But I hope it's apparent anyhow how, in terms of like the construction, how it's a lot more solid, and definitely compared to the last one where I struggled to like get the proportions more in line with the show, how here I was able to better like stylize the reference to work more for what I needed from it, or at least I hope so anyway. Yeah, as well as that, like the perspective I went for, I wanted it to be as though the camera was kind of low down and then pointing up, which I think came through, though perspective is definitely one of the many things I need to work on, so I think it definitely could have been exaggerated more, but I think you still get the gist. And anyway, we can just offload that onto year 5 me. Sure, that's his problem anyway. Sure, he's now a legend anyway, he'll take care of that. Some other differences you might have noticed is that when I was pulling out the hair, you can see I did it in like a light green first, and I was trying to like get really technical with it and like plot out perfectly, and then I realized that is like the #1 thing I'm trying to not do, is to get overly like technical with stuff, because that has definitely led to like some stiffness in my work, which I'm trying to eliminate. So then I went over it with a red and just did a bunch of wavy shit. No, I went for kind of like a Goku meets Trunks Super Saiyan kind of deal, which again is not in the show style whatsoever, but like that's more or less what I was going for. I really wanted my own style to shine through, even though I was taking cues from some references that I had from season 7, which is what the art is based off, which is also where I got the colors from. Probably should have mentioned that earlier, but in terms of colors, it's basically always just color picked with some minor changes here or there to make it work a bit better. Yeah, definitely still not a colorist, but I hope anyhow that it might sound weird, but that it doesn't look like it's from the show, because I was trying my best to get like a happy marriage of like both my style and the show style, which I think mainly comes through like in the face with the more exaggerated cheekbones, or like the wider and sharper eyes I did on it, and as well as at the aforementioned hair, which I wanted to exaggerate more. Also, I have no clue where I'm at the time lapse at this point, but I did want to just mention the lighting effects as well. I was pretty happy with. I had no clue that you could just modify a round brush and like just through opacity and a bit of layering that you could make it work so well. I'll put the tutorial down if I can find it again, but yeah, no, that was like a mind-boggling discovery at that point. It's always very fun getting to do like a effect and stuff on characters, which I almost never get to do, because I'll start drawing a character and then if I don't finish a drawing within 2 days, basically it's just gone forever. I just lose all interest. I'm sure a lot of artists get the exact same thing. I'm sure they understand what I'm talking about. But yeah, kind of random, but I just wanted to mention that as well. I was happy with how the effects turned out on that one. Again, I have no fucking clue where the time lapse is anymore, so I'm kind of just yapping at this point. The only other main thing I want to talk about is the lack of background. Yeah, I just fucking hate doing backgrounds. Oh, you'd have to fucking pay me to do that shit. I just could not be bothered. I think I forgot to mention that on the last one as well. I'm pretty sure I just slapped a PNG in the background, but you know, I did not draw that on the last one either. At this point, I'm just going to assume the time lapse is wrapped up, but yeah, that's the 4th year deku all done and dusted. Overall, I'd say I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, as mentioned previously, like, there's definitely some stuff that I could have, or that I would have liked to have done better, but yeah, on the whole, I'd say I'm pretty pleased with it. And with that, that catches up to 4 years of art, or I guess 4 years of deku specifically. I think this is a really interesting exercise, like, for artists to see like what parts of their art have improved over the years and what parts are still kind of sore spots, definitely for me. Like perspective and also character movement have been kind of issues for me over the years, and so I like to focus on them more going forward. But I mean, on the whole, like going from the first one, the only way was up. But yeah, I hope you all took something from this. I mean, I've just been yapping into a mic with no script for the past hour, but yeah. How the fuck do you end the video?